Hit us up, Kate. What do you got? What you got?
Somewhere here.
Yeah, there you go.
I sent some pictures into Slack.
Yeah, we showed them off earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are pieces that I own, love, and adore. And those are, yeah. So this lady who is like 4'11", that's huge. That's 4 feet by 3.5 feet.
Oh,
That's
my
a
goodness.
huge canvas. So learned art in the Ontario College of Art was taught by Arthur Lismer, who is a member of the Group of Seven, which is one of the most famous groups in Canada of painters. And she was his prize student. Now, Virginia herself was a very shy lady, very teeny tiny little shy lady who all she wanted to do was paint. So she painted all these paintings, these beautiful, gorgeous paintings, and they never went anywhere. And so they ended up in the basement of her daughter's house. Her daughter and I are good friends, and so I helped move these paintings a bunch of times. And so we had to do something when we were to sell the house. We got 237 paintings. What do you do with 237 paintings that you don't even know who they belong to really and what they are and if they're anything? And I'm not an art curator. So ultimately, we do a bunch of research, and we find out that she is part of a group out here called the Point Group, which has its main gallery in Penticton. It's called the Penticton Point Group Gallery. They have a really good online presence, and they are going to do a solo show for her. Cool. So at some point, I don't have a date on that yet, unfortunately. So little teeny tiny Virginia, we start to realize these paintings have stamps on the back, like they've been in places. They've been hung in art shows. And we start finding old documents and old pictures of the group that she painted with. And then we find that the people that have collections of those groups, nobody has any, they know her name, but they've never seen her work. So I start trying to make things happen. And I start touring like the Art Gallery of Victoria, the university, all these people through the house to see, what am I doing with these? Am I keeping them? Am I setting them on fire? Like, what's gonna happen?
Those are really the only two options.
Yeah.
A true story. Emily Carr, famous Canadian artist, another Canadian artist looked after her collection after she passed, and the ones he thought were substandard, he set fire in her backyard.
Wow.
So that is actually not an uncommon way to deal with this. Anyway, so start putting it together. These are not as plain. These aren't grandma's paintings. No, I thought they were, but they're not. So I am now getting calls from people who want them. So I'm gonna put one on Kevin just so you can see. This is one of the. This is not one of the ones I'm giving away, but this is in the same grouping as the ones that are being given away, and they've got really good names. So this is called Black Tree Abstract because that's how you name art. So that's one of the collection of the two giveaways. This is just in its family. This is mine.
Could you tilt it ever so slightly up so that, or could someone, so that the glare is less
Can you
glary?
less glare it for me? So she gets into she starts doing
Other direction, other up.
landscapes, which is,
There you go.
whatever. But then she takes a course with Andy Warhol and all those guys, and she learns about abstract stuff. And all of a sudden her work changes substantially, and she starts doing no more landscapes. So this is where they ended up. I managed to get 40 pieces into institutions, and I managed to sell 60 pieces in private sales for some money. And so I think the one that excites me the most is here in Canada. There's a place called the Governor General's House. There's one in every province. The Governor General's House is the representative of the Queen or the King, as he now is. And so at any time a royal family member comes and stays in Canada, they stay in one of these places. So the local one here in town is a very old one. It's actually where Queen Elizabeth and her sister stayed during the war.
Oh, yeah.
So there are 7 pieces of her artwork, 7 in the Governor General's house.
Dang.
And for sure, one of those is in the royal suite in the bedroom. So whenever Harry and Kate come and they are waking up in the morning, they'll be looking at a piece of Virginia Lewis's art.
That's so cool.
So that's very cool.
And it's your fault.
And it's all my fault. And so I made sure all those paintings were there before the coronation. So in the background shots of the coronation celebration, there are these huge pieces, and they're all, most of those canvases are mammoth. So the ones that I've offered for the giveaway are smaller, so we could ship them, literally.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you know, that big space one is so big we can't ship it. So because I love the bus, I can't tell you what they're worth, because at this point their value increases every day.
Yeah.
And so they are, she was born in 1908. She did a huge body of really interesting work. Anybody who's taken a piece of BC Archives, the museum, there's some in the museum, there's some in the University of Victoria Heritage Gallery. They're all over. So
That's
I
so
kept
cool.
my own collection because, hey, I had a right to do that. But I love the bus. And so I am sharing 2 of these gorgeous pieces. And so what we're going to do is a giveaway where there's actually 2 winners.
Yeah.
So because the 2 pieces I've brought for the giveaway are really interesting. And so let's show those. So they are part of that same series as that one that was being held up. So this is one for the giveaway. And I think that one has its name on the back. I'm pretty sure it's like Garden Abstract something.
Garden Abstract.
Yeah.
Garden Abstract 1, potentially.
Yeah.
1 of 12, it says.
Yeah, that's right. So I own all 12. Well, I'm about not to only own 10.
Nice.
So I just think these are beautiful. So this is done in 1975. This is as she dives into being a mid-century modernist abstract artist. I see many things in that. That's very characteristic of her big pieces of work. So I'm trying to share those with you. So that's only probably a 10 by 11, 9 by 11, but it's pretty potent.
Ashton Fingies for scale.
Yeah,
But
it's
only a little bit.
Gorgeous piece of work. So I'd like that to be given away. And then there's a second one,
Cool.
and the second one that they're going to show, just be careful, it's maybe taped into the frame currently. This one is interesting because I've been working with an art conservator. And over the phone, we have all these paintings by numbers. And I was talking to her, I was like, you know, which ones should we give to the bus? And over the phone, we both agreed this one without even seeing it. We were like, oh, that was number blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure that equally says Garden Abstract. It's in the series. It's like Garden Abstract 3 or 4. But all that information will come with it. For shipping, they're all in glass. So I'm going to switch them all to plexiglass so they travel well. They're gorgeous. They're unique. She's a female artist that did abstract, which is something that nobody has a collection of that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a art show here or in Vancouver called C. Jane, like Dick and Jane, C. Jane, that's going to exhibit lost female artists' artwork. That's going to happen at the beginning of the year.
That's awesome.
And then the Penticton Gallery is going to do a solo show of hers at some point. I don't think they've got everything framed up properly yet to do that. And who knew I could sell art, man? I sold art to designers from Whistler. I sold art to doctors. I sold collections. I eventually
Dang.
asked for help because I realized that my weak spot was cute little old ladies, that I would give them away instead of taking any money. Like I would load their car and say, oh, so great. I'm so glad you're taking us. I'm so happy.
I just want him to go to a good
I just
home.
wanted to go to a good home. And indeed, Carrie, that's a really good point
Yeah.
because my goal in all of this was to re-home the art.
Yeah.
And so my goal was really simple. You know, and it still remains that way. It's not about money. It's about letting Virginia be known. So now this is happening.
Is there a mark on the bottom
Yeah.
of there? VL.
VL, that's Virginia Lewis. So good point, Ashton. So VL, Virginia, might have been a bit of a gin drinker, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And we hung the show at my house, and we came to realize that her signature changed over time, which is very normal in artist world, except for some of those are spelled incorrectly. So
Oh,
I
what?
have several pieces where she spelled her own name wrong,
Wow.
which we believe might be gin related. Like it
Listen.
says V. Lewis, but there's no W in it. And so those are quirky and fun. So they are all archival. The ones that are leaving from here are archivally stamped. They're cataloged, and that catalog is in the University of Victoria. So these are a permanent for somebody at some point to do a thesis in the art world and whatever. And I don't know. You got any questions?
amazing.
That's all I got, man.
Awesome.
Other than some numbers.
I mean, well, speaking of numbers, we need to come up with a number for the giveaway. So is there a number that you think would work well for this?
Okay, so let me do this in my head. Like I'm gonna do like the magic thing. Okay, there were 237 large paintings when I started. There was 85 sketchbooks. She was born in 1908. She was 4'11". Can we do 9/11?
Sure.
I don't know where that came from, but
Yeah.
is that a wrong number because of the
No.
the
No, that's
other
fine.
affiliation?
No,
Related to the
no,
other
no,
things?
we're good.
Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$9.11.
And my only request is, if you guys like this stuff, put a picture on the internet. Because the one place we haven't
Yeah.
got a lot of information about her yet is the internet, and that is that's my next year's goal, is to
Yeah.
try to get as much internet presence for her as possible, because that's today's world. Her
Right.
world was not. And so the final piece is, I got there's a place in town called the Union Club, which is the men's club from long ago. So they have a charity sale every summer. So I hung a bunch of pieces there, and they sold them. And I went to pick the check up, but like the elevator's broken and the guy's not there and whatever. So I'm pretty sure there's $1,000 donation
Oh,
coming
awesome.
from
Oh,
Virginia's
wow.
paintings, maybe tomorrow.
Heck yeah.
That's
As all
awesome.
things bust, it's not really on time, but it is there. And I did talk to the financial guy, so I'm pretty sure it is a $1,000 donation to add to the total.
Awesome.
Dang.
And then let's see what these raise.